Hi folks, now some of you may have watched my video playlist on Project IMedia, which was turning a bog standard Hewlett-Packard IMedia PC into something a little more exciting. We turned it into this pink and purple machine for my daughter, who has had this for a few years now and has been using it and really enjoying it. But it just needs a little clean-up. Quite literally, you can see the dust on it. You see that top fan there, plenty of dust. There is some in the bottom fan. She did manage to get some bits of paper in there. I don't know how she managed that. The CPU fan is really bad. Well, it's not the fan actually, it's the heatsink. You can see how caked that is with dust. So we're going to just take the side panel off and we're going to give it a bit of a clean up, and I wanted just to show you how you can do that. She's also drawn a bit on here. I wasn't too happy about this, but this is what kids do, I guess. It's since I had to swap out of an optical drive, which I didn't get a chance to paint pink, so we've left that black, so it doesn't look quite as good as it did to start off with. But on the whole, actually, considering this is a child's PC, I think it's done quite well. You can see the power supply here, lots of dust in there. So we'll get the side panel off this, and I'll show you what I do to get rid of all that dust. Okay, so the side panel is off, and I think you can see much easier now the extent of the dust problem that we've got in here. So we'll get rid of these bits of paper. You see paper caught in the fan. My youngest daughter does have a habit of ripping up bits of paper and using it as, I don't know, toy money and all sorts of stuff. So I just think some of it's got caught on the desk, and this fan has pulled it in. As you can see, there's no fan guard or anything on the bottom there. The fan guard's on the top, because that's the one where if she was ever going to poke her fingers in, it was going to be that top bit. I might have to see if I've got a filter perhaps that I can just put on there just to stop things coming in, because that's where most of the dust is going to be coming in through actually. And although this is on a desk rather than on the floor, it still pulls a lot of dust in. There's two things that I tend to use. I've got an old, quite thick paintbrush, which is quite a soft bristle brush, and this is good for, as you can see, just brushing down the top of things like graphics cards. To be gentle, you don't want to break any of the components on it, but you know, it's good at doing that and getting in all the nooks and crannies. Yeah, it works quite well. I also have a toothbrush, which is a little bit harder bristle. You could use an old toothbrush. This is a cheap toothbrush that I bought specifically for the job. So this will be good at getting into these kind of heat sinks, but I'm going to have to pull the fan off first to do that. You can use canned air, but do be careful, because that can be quite high pressure jet. So if you're going to use that, don't get it anything that may break off the board. You can even use a vacuum cleaner if you're careful. I tend not to. And I always think I might damage something. Because most of the time you just need to get brushes in and just give it a good clean. Brush down. Yeah. Very effective, it works. So it takes time, but it's worth doing. So again, just on the back end, you can see that dust flying off. And really, this is a job you probably should do every 6 months or so with your computer, depending on what kind of environment you're in. If you keep it on the floor, it's going to get dusty very quickly. If you're running a lot of intake fans on your computer, in fact if you've got more fans bringing air in than pushing out, you're probably going to get dust in more quickly as well. So you can see it doesn't take long to make a difference. There we go. So that is basically what I'm going to have to spend the next few minutes doing. Say a few minutes, it's probably going to take a while. Also, if you've got something like the inside panel, this has got dust on it, a microfiber cloth could be good just for wiping down your side windows and large areas like this that are just large areas of metal. I wouldn't necessarily use this on the inside, but very quickly, you know, it just removes the dust from it. So we're going to give it another go. Get into some of these nooks and crannies and see how we get on. Okay, I've just taken the fan off the cooler, and you can see how caked that is. You can also see how much dust there is on the fan. These are easy enough to remove actually. You've just got two little plastic clips, so there is this one here and this one here, and you just get a flat-headed screwdriver, just lever it off on one side and the whole thing will just come off. Okay, you leave the cooler in place, that's fine, and it's just a question of getting one of your brushes and just getting it in here. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, you could take this off, but you don't have to. You can see that's almost coming off as like a carpet. Look at that. Now that, you see, that is a problem. That will reduce the efficiency of your cooler quite a lot, because the air is not then getting in between the fins. Okay, the fins are there to increase the surface area of the heatsink so that it can get rid of the heat very quickly. And what you're doing here is you're reducing that available surface area, so it won't get heat away as quickly. So you'll have more heat in your system. Now, it might not be a problem until it hits the point where the system starts to overheat. Now, if you've got an old AMD system, that could just fry a processor. In a Intel system, it'll probably slow it down, because it'll go into kind of a emergency mode. Okay, either way you don't want them. You can see just by getting a brush in there, look, it very quickly clears that. That's looking much better already. Got a little bit in there. I'll probably blow that out, maybe turn the case upside down. This is probably going to create dust around here, so you probably just want to make sure you clear around here as well. That's where your canned air can be quite useful actually, because then you can just blow the extra bits away. But as you can see, it's starting to look better already. Okay, that fan's not perfect, but that's good enough to be functional. We've managed to get to that fan without actually removing it, which is good as well. So it's already starting to look better. Now some of it, as it's settled, look, has just come back. So we're just going to keep working on this just for the next few minutes, and then we should be in a position where we can reassemble. Okay, so I think the job is now finished, and we will fire this up in a minute just to see if everything's working okay. What I've done is I've put my homemade fan filter on the bottom here. I did actually make this for my main rig and don't use it anymore because I retrofitted the original filter in there. So I thought it'd be good to make use of it. Just a couple of pieces of cardboard and some kind of wire mesh in the middle. You can make those up quite easily yourself. Doesn't look brilliant, but it's going to be on the bottom, so nobody's going to see it. If we're so inclined, I could paint it purple and make it match. But hopefully that's just going to catch some of the dust, and it means I've attached it this side so that I can remove it for cleaning without having to remove the actual fan. Could have put it between the fan and the case on the inside if we really wanted to hide it. But yeah, that's going to work fine, and I think it should just help to keep some of the dust out. I've also put a couple of blanking plates on there as well. Okay, because that's just another way that dust can get in. Obviously it can get in through these, but we don't want to close every hole off, because we do want some of the air to be pushed out, so it's really where air could get in. So I'm happy with that. That just looks a whole lot better, as you can see. So hopefully the whole PC is going to be much happier. So we'll get it to sit on its feet, and we'll get it powered up and see if everything's okay. Okay, so everything is back up and running, and I'm happy with that. Everything's working fine. It's a lot cleaner, so hopefully it'll run just that little bit cooler and just extend the life of these components just that little bit longer, and hopefully it's not suddenly going to stop working. There's nothing worse than it having problems when I'm not around to fix them. So it doesn't do my daughter any good, and certainly doesn't do my wife any good as well. So we'll get the side panel on this and get it put back in position. Just thought I'd grab a shot of it with the side panel on, just so you can see what that looks like, and I think you can see the whole thing just looks a lot cleaner you can actually see through the side window nicely now as well. So thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully it's been useful for you as well. I do recommend, as I say, that you probably tackle the inside of your computer at least every 6 months, possibly more than that. Basically as often as you need to prevent any dust build-up. So thank you very much for watching.